Welcome to Sports Talk with RKJ. I'm your host, Steve Risser, with Justin D'Onofrio and Kyle Galuli. And we are here. It is the Final Four. And yes, may not be the Final Four that everybody wanted because there's no Zion Williamson, there's no Kentucky. But still, you got you're going to have still you're going to have Texas. You still have Texas Tech, Auburn, Virginia, and Michigan State. So, I mean, there's still four really, really good teams. I mean, so it should be interesting to see what happens. I mean, the Elite Eight was great. I mean, it was amazing. You had four games that pretty much were decided by 4 points or less. You had that Texas Tech Gonzaga game. That was probably the worst game of the four.
Yeah,
that was a really good game. Then you had the Virginia Purdue game, which was crazy. It went to overtime.
Yeah,
and then
but I had no reason to.
Yeah, I know. The Purdue should have won that.
Yeah, and
then you had that Auburn Kentucky game, and then lastly that Duke gets eliminated by Michigan State. So it should be a really exciting Final Four. I think you got four really good teams, and I'm really excited for it. And Justin, we'll get your opening thoughts on it.
All right, yeah, these should. I know it's not the four teams that. Yeah, especially because we have three really new teams in this thing. Virginia hasn't been in there since '84. Virginia, Texas Tech are making their first appearance. Michigan State was here in 2015. The only play that they had was Kenny Goins, but I feel like we have one game in Auburn and Virginia where it's two different styles of play. Virginia is, of course, going to slow it down. They want to play in the lower 60s. They want to play in the 60s, 70s. Then Texas Tech and Michigan State, they're kind of similar. Good defensively, both good rebounding teams. So I feel like they should be two very good games. I'm excited for them.
Oh, they're most definitely going to be two good games, and that's one thing to me why March Madness, especially with the Elite Eight, March Madness is my favorite. Like, I guess playoffs in any sport other than, for me personally, NFL football. But I feel like if you're Purdue, I just gotta talk about that real quick, because if you're Purdue, you have to be just so salty that you lost, because even so, when they were up 3, and it actually got me the first free throw, and they went up 3 for Purdue. Did not look like he intentionally missed it. It looked like he didn't really, try to shoot it. It looked like he almost chucked it at the, back rim. And I'm like, you're only up 3. You're not up 4. Yeah. Like, that to me doesn't make sense. But like you said, it's such good games. Like, that's what you're hoping. Like, I just don't know. Like, the first round, you have maybe a couple good games, here and there. Maybe you get the an upset. Same thing with round 32. I feel like the round, Sweet 16s, when you start to finally get those good games where it's every game's down to the wire, possibly overtime. In Elite Eight, we got that. And I think to say that the worst game was decided only by 4 points. I'll take it. But like you said, now you see what's going to prevail. Is it going to be Michigan State with Izzo, who's been around for a while, has won titles, has been here, done that type thing? There's going to be a team that's more relatively, I won't say unknown, but doesn't have experience, in these type of situations. But we're going to get good games.
Yes, in our first game, we got Auburn, who's making their first ever Final Four appearance, and Bruce Pearl's done an outstanding job there. And then we got Virginia, who's making their first Final Four appearance. When was the last time they were in the Final Four?
84, I believe.
84, yeah, with Ralph Sampson, right?
Yeah.
So It's been a really long time. Tony Bennett finally gets over the hump. I mean, they've been a top seed since 2014. Remember when they lost to Michigan State in 14? No, they lost to Michigan State in 14, Michigan State in 15. They should have made it in 16. They collapsed against Syracuse. 17 was kind of a down year. They lost in the second round, and we all will never forget last year when they were the number one. They were the first ever number one to lose to a 16. But their redemption tour this year, and they're in the Final Four. I mean, and this game, the key to this game for we'll start with Auburn. The key to this game for Auburn is their guards have to be really good, because they've lost Okeke. They're probably one of their top 3 players. And a lot of people say he's their best player. He's probably the guy with the most NBA potential, but I think their 2 best players are Jared Harper and Bryce Brown. I think those are their 2 best players. I think Okeke has the most NBA potential, but he's definitely, I think, their 3rd guy. And they need their guards to play well, because they don't really have a great inside game. Luckily for Virginia, though, they don't have a great inside game either. They're led by Ty Jerome, Kyle Guy, and DeAndre Hunter. So they're going to slow this game down. A lot of Virginia games, and you've seen in the tournament. I mean, especially the Sweet 16 game against Oregon was a close game. Obviously the game against Purdue was a close game. They're close games because they play this slow style, this really slow style. So the key to Virginia is to play their game. And to get some points inside too, because that's the one weakness of Auburn. So to get some points inside, to have Guy, Jerome, and Hunter have a really good game. So I think this game is going to be a really close game. We'll give our prediction a bit later, but we'll give Justin's keys to the Auburn Virginia game first.
All right. So my keys in this one. Well, first I want to say I think this is of what happened at that ending game last week between UVA and Purdue about Mamadou Diak hitting that shot. Like I thought, like that just showed me this is Virginia's year. I think so. For UVA, they have to do a better job guarding because Carson Edwards put up 42 on them out of 72. And a couple times they double teamed him. He turned it over and he kind of frantic. He turned it over. So they have to do a much better job on Harper and Brown than they did last week on Carson Edwards, or they're going to be in trouble. Because luckily for Ryan Klein kind of struggled for him. They didn't really have anybody else for Purdue that stepped up for him. So they got to be able to defend them. And also the big game down low, Mamadou Diak, he hasn't really started all year. It's been mostly Jack Salt, but he's stepped in. He's been starting. He's been playing very well. I think he could be the difference maker for Virginia once again. Kyle Guy really looked better in the second half after he's really struggled throughout the first couple of games. He looked much better shooting the ball. If he can consistently hit jumpers like he did last week, Virginia's having a great chance to win this game. Auburn, the way they've been playing has been unbelievable, but this is one of the best scoring teams in the country in Auburn. And it's the best defense, and so this is going to be very interesting to see. But if Virginia wants to win this game, they got to play this in the 60s and 70s or low 70s. Auburn wins this game, it's going to be the mid 70s. I don't think they'd be able to put up 80 against Virginia in 40 minutes, but I think Auburn wins. It's going to probably be up in the high 70s.
My main key for Auburn is their three-point shooting, because I believe they're third in made threes in all of college basketball. So obviously, that's their main game. Now, with Virginia being such a good defensive team, I wouldn't say you're not going to want to chuck up threes like your Steph Curry, because no one on that team is going to be mistaken for Curry in terms of their three-point ability. But you need to make sure that you're taking smart shots, because Virginia's one of the teams feel like that. Their defense fuels their offense. If they make good stops, they get rebounds, and then they get into their game. So, with their thing for Auburn is you just gotta if you gotta use all the shot clock, even though they maybe like to play as a faster paced team. If you need to use all the shot clock just to get a good shot, do it. Because if you're Bruce Pearl, you need to tell your team this so they can realize instead of putting up a shot with, let's say, 20 seconds left, use all of it. If you need to use all of the clock down to 5 seconds, hey, I'd rather have you take 30 seconds to get a good shot than to, chuck up one that's, with tight defense from, deep from three with, only using 10 seconds. So they need to do that. In Virginia, like you said, it's almost feels like destiny in a way. That's a 1 in a million shot. It went in. You're lucky to be here, but you're here. Yeah. You can't complain about that. So I feel like that what they need to do now is, play their game, play at that slow pace, because if you're able to play at a slow pace, I feel like Auburn's going to kind of feel uncomfortable, and it's college, it's not pro, so pros are going to have, I feel like, going to have more of a, they're not going to be much of a panic, they're going to, better be able to adapt. So that's what Virginia's going to do, is play their pace of game and force Auburn into that, because if they do, Auburn's feel like you can force them into bad shots, and that's going to play right into Virginia's hands. Yeah,
and then I do want to mention something quickly too. Going back with the Auburn fueling their offense with the turnovers. Auburn forces just under 18 turnovers a game. Virginia only turns over 9 times a game. So can they force Virginia to turn over to be interesting? And then also, Auburn did a great job too last week of closing out for Kentucky shooter. They were 5 for 21 last week. And we know Virginia has been their best three-point shooting team. Are they, can Virginia can they keep closing out on these shots? Which I think they definitely could. So, that would be a great game.
And with Auburn being this good of a three-point shooting team, I could see it if they could potentially just relax for a minute against this team. You look up at the scoreboard, you're down 9 out of nowhere. So they need to. It's going to be a tough game, but you need to stay locked in for the whole game. Don't even take 10 seconds off.
And here's the thing about the Final Four, though. And the thing about the Final Four, though, is those games are played in a dome.
Yeah.
It's tougher to shoot in domes. So I think the team with the better inside game usually wins in the Final Four. That's kind of the trend. That's why I think that Virginia's going to win this game. And I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I think it's going to be a game in the 60s. I think that it's going to be a slow pace. I'm going 69-61 Virginia. I think it's going to be a slow paced game. I think they're going to get Virginia's going to get more inside points, and Auburn, because of the loss of Okeke, they're going to struggle to get inside points, and I think they're going to rely on the three. And when in domes in the Final Four, it's very, very tough to rely on the three. So I'm going to go with UVA advancing to Monday night's championship game, beating Auburn 69-61. Justin.
Yeah, I got UVA winning this thing 68-65.
Yeah, I'm right about that. I have UVA winning. I think it's just, other than Duke, to me, they were the best team. I'll say Duke ain't here. So to me, Virginia's the just best team because they're good on offense and they're very, very good on defense. So I had them win about 70-65.
Yes, so we got the second game of the doubleheader at about 8:45 on a Saturday night, and that's between, a lot of people wish it was between Duke and Texas Tech, but
I do.
But now it's going to be between Michigan State and Texas Tech, and I think Texas Tech a really, really good defensive team. But I mean, Cassius Winston's definitely the best player they've played against in this tournament. I mean, I think Cassius Winston, yes, Huchamora is good, but I think Cassius Winston, there's a reason Cassius Winston's a first team All-American. I think he's a really good player. I think this is a really, really tough defensive game. Obviously, I'll give my prediction a little bit later, but I think this will be a really interesting game. I think the key to this game is going to be, again, inside points, and I think that Michigan State has a better inside game, and they always do with Tom Izzo. It's a big thing with Tom Izzo, offensive rebounding, getting points in the paint. I think they have a better inside game than Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech's going to have to rely more on their three-point shooting, which was hot. Who was that guy? Was
David Moretti.
Moretti was hot against. He had a really good game against Gonzaga. So I mean, but they're going to have to shoot threes really well again. And as I've said it though, in domes, it's hard to shoot threes. So I think it's going to be. I'll give my prediction, but I think the biggest key to the game for Texas Tech is they got to hit their threes, and the biggest key to Michigan State is to defend the three-point shot from Texas Tech, and get more points in the paint. I think that's the key for Michigan State.
Yeah, for me, I think Michigan State's gonna be able to do that down low. Tyreek Owens has been like the big man for Texas Tech for this team. He is fifth right now in the country in block shots. But for Texas Tech, Jared Culver's been 3 for 17 on 3-point shots his last couple games. He needs to start heating up. Moretti, he has stepped up. He only shoots about 5 or 6 threes a game, but he's shooting them at right around 47%. So when he shoots them, they're usually pretty going in. And we've seen when Culver hasn't shot the ball well, Moretti's been stepping up for him. And Texas Tech needs to hold their own on the boards too. Michigan State averages 44 rebounds a game. They gotta, if Texas got to limit it to one shot. If they cannot do that, and they give up, 14, 6, say 10 points, they're going to be in trouble in this game. So they got to box out, limit Michigan State to one shot. And Cassius Winston, against a great defense like Texas Tech is, moving the ball is huge, which he does a great job of. He does not let that ball stick in his hands, and when he has to make a play, he'll make it himself. So. But Texas Tech D has done a great job the last couple of games against Hackamore. They didn't, but when it's a guard, Xavier Simpson from Michigan.
And Hackamore had a huge game against Texas Tech. Owens did a better job with them in the second half, though. I'll give you that.
Yeah, he did a little bit in the second half. But against Michigan, they shut down Xavier Simpson. Against Buffalo, they shot down C.J. Massenberg. And then, if you want to go back to the first round game in Northern Kentucky, they stopped their best guy, who was averaging 19 points. He was 5 for 16.
And we know only Justin was watching the Northern Kentucky game.
Yeah, of course I was watching that. So Texas Tech does try to do a good job of taking out the best player, but Cassius Winston is a totally different player than Simpson, the Massenberg than Simpson. So it's gonna be a much tougher task, which I think Texas Tech can definitely do, because this is one of the best defensive teams in the country. Listen to Chris Breed. He loves Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo is his idol. So. This is it, but I really do love Chris Breed as a coach. I think he's very underrated.
He worked under Bobby Knight.
Yeah, that's so at Texas Tech. So
I remember Night School years ago that was on. Remember that show?
No, Nate. No, I
Maybe
remember.
too young. I remember night school. I remember seeing Chris Beard in that. Yeah.
Really? No, I thought very young Night, but yeah, I love Chris Beard as a coach. I think he's a phenomenal coach.
I'm
He's
gonna go
trying
phenomenal. He's a very good coach.
I don't know, if he wins the tournament, I think
Yes.
He's trying to build this program like Michigan State.
Yes,
so,
yes.
similar teams right here.
Yeah, I think you guys can touch on all the keys to the game. It's going to be rebounding, because all across the board, total offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds. Michigan State better than Texas Tech. And then with Texas, what you got to do is obviously, if you're going to, hope to out-rebound Michigan State, good luck. I wouldn't bet my money on it, but good luck with that. But you need to, again, make sure you take good shots because you don't want to take contested shots because most times Michigan State's not going to allow you to get more than one possession. You're not getting them second chance. You're not getting them offensive rebounds. And if you're Texas Tech, you need to do a good job stopping Cassius Winston because we've seen guard play dominate their tournament. When you get a hot guard like Shabazz Napier and then Kemba Walker for UConn, we've seen that. Where even a team that was decent, make some noise, you just get that guard play gets hot all the way to a title. Cassius Winston's kind of feeling something similar to that. He had, he's been very, very good the whole thing, and just seems like he's catching fire, and then this could lead them to all the way to the championship and win it because you get that plus the rebounding. When you limit teams to one possession, that makes their job so much harder because one of the hardest things to guard, it feels like, is when you get the offensive rebound and them having to guard the three-pointer after that because they're all turned around looking for the rebound. They don't get it. They kind of sink in and get the rebound. Guy open three, and the second chance, points. But to me, it's going to be tough for Texas Tech to stop the best player. I know that's the focus of it, but I feel also even if they do focus on it, that Izzo is such a smart coach and he's good at recognizing, okay, what is their plan? Okay, this is their plan. They're trying to stop this guy, Cassius Winston. So then at that point, you change it up and maybe use him maybe more as a decoy. And now at that point, Texas Tech at halftime, what's going to be key to them is what is going to be their adjustments to Izzo's adjustments. Because we all know he's smart. The dude's one of the best coaches in college basketball, period. So their adjustments at halftime, stopping Cassius Winston and rebounding. To me, that's keys to the game.
They definitely will. That definitely will be. So we'll give our predictions, and I'm going. I think this is going to be another tough defensive game. But I'm going to go 66-60 Michigan State to go to the national championship and win Monday night. And I think Michigan State plays Virginia, and we all know Tom Izzo. If he's in the tournament, Tom Izzo owns Virginia, and I think in a really close, competitive, like a three-point game, I think Michigan State wins the national championship. You got the best coach. In this thing is Tom Izzo. Remember, the tournament started with Tom Izzo getting criticized for getting on a player, and I think the tournament ends with Tom Izzo winning the national championship. Justin.
Yeah, Saturday night, Michigan State winning 64-61. Again, I think a very tight game. I think change point to be huge in this game. Monday night, I need Virginia in my bracket, so I am going to take Virginia, but I am very nervous about that. We'll take Virginia nervously because I have to root for them, but I don't know if they'll be able to. Yeah, I'm not very confident about it.
I have Michigan State beating Texas Tech 67-60. I just think I have Virginia winning. I understand Izzo owns Virginia. The only reason I just think it's just because they're just such a good overall team, like we said. They're so good defensively, so good scoring-wise that I'm just going on blind faith on that because I'm not feeling great about it either. But I just feel like overall they're just going to be the better team, and see Virginia would end up winning a close, probably about 1-score, 2-score game.
Yes, it should be a really, really exciting Final Four. It definitely should be. So we'll shift over to baseball, and it has been a really, really rough start for the Yankees and the Red Sox, and we'll start with the Yankees. I mean, here's
terrible.
Yes, it has not been good at all. The funny thing is the strength of the Yankees has been their starting pitching. I mean, Tanaka has been really good in his first two starts. I mean, her mom was not that bad. Paxton was pretty good. Loizaga wasn't that bad yesterday, but the real issue has been first it's the injuries. I mean, you lose Stan, you lose Andujar, you lose Hicks. Now they lost Tulowitzki yesterday, and then in the rotation you lose Severino, and then not having Betances. There's been a lot of injuries. We'll give you that. But when you're playing teams like the Tigers and the Orioles, those are not an excuse. I mean, the biggest issue has been the offense. The offense has just not been good at all so far. Outside of Aaron Judge, he was hitting over 300, but the thing is, he doesn't have a home run yet. Luke Voigt has been terrible. Brett Gardner has been terrible. Gary Sanchez has been terrible. I mean, yes, he had those 2 home runs, but he's not been that good. Gleyber Torres hasn't been good, neither has Greg Bird. Just this whole offense has just not been good. You question some of Boone's lineup, like Sanchez, not having Sanchez in the game on Tuesday. That was very, very questionable there. And, I mean, the another thing is the bullpen hasn't been that good either. Chad Green, I mean, he came in on Saturday, gave up a run, then it was 3-1, and then
Tarpley, right?
No, it wasn't Tarpley. No, it was Jonathan Holder gave up 2 runs in the 9th inning, and the Yankees ended up scoring 2 runs in the 9th inning. So those 2 runs became huge runs. And then the bullpen on Tuesday, Chapman was terrible in the 9th inning against the Tigers, and then Green gives up a home run to Gordon Beckham yesterday. So Chad Green hasn't been good. Chapman has struggled. This bullpen has not been as good as advertised so far either. The funny thing is the rotation is actually starting pitching has actually been the strength of the team. The bullpen has struggled. Yes, the bullpen when they had the lead on Monday night, yes, they pitched well, but I mean but when they've either been tied or had to keep a team, because you saw Tarpley on Sunday give that home run to Joey Rickard. So when they've had to keep the game closer, keep the game tied, this bullpen has definitely not done the job so far, and it's been very frustrating. 2-4 to start the year for the Yankees. Yeah,
it's disappointing. I know there's people talking about 9-0, which I think are going into Houston when they're in Baltimore this weekend. I kind of felt like that's pretty hard to do in baseball. Anyways, to win 9 straight. I was thinking more of the lines of a 7-3. 7-2, 6-3-ish. That's kind of my goal. But 2-4 going to Baltimore wasn't what I was looking for. But the whole line is pretty much a struggle. Besides Judge and LeMahieu, they've struck out, or in 6 games they've struck out 56 times, which is I think the most in the first 6 games, which is almost 10 a game. They had 18 yesterday. It's Matt Boyd. I'd never heard of the guy before he pitched yesterday. He wasn't against the Yankees. He looked like he had great stuff, but I've never seen him pitch before. So it's like, yeah. But and with all the injuries, I know it is kind of frustrating. But it's kind of like, you didn't think you would see Tyler Wade in here every day. I think some of us maybe thought Clint was going to start over Gardner. I think Gardner should be benched, but I don't think Boone loves the analytics. I don't think that's going to happen until Gardner gets hurt or something, because I don't. I think they love Gardner, and I think Tuesday Sanchez got the day off, even though I don't think it really helped. I think it was a mental day for him, because he really can't throw a second base right now. He just got like the yips or something, right? He can made a great pick play in the dirt yesterday on that zone base. So I don't blame him for that throw yesterday because he did get that out of the dirt. But this team, the pitching's really. If the pitching, I think the offense is gonna come around. Maybe not with when they get some guys back. Hopefully Stan will be back in like a week. Hopefully, and Duhart is gonna rehab this and be back soon. But hopefully Tulo's not too long. But I think they get some pieces back. The offense will come along. I keep trying to tell myself that it's only 6 games in. There's 156 more games to go, so there's still plenty of time. But I didn't think they'd go 2-4. I think because with the Orioles and Tigers, I don't think 2-4 is like nothing we were gonna expect.
Right. Absolutely. I feel like the one quick decision that Boone made where he decided to finally put in Gardner to run for Luke Voigt with 2 outs. Why? Why are you waiting until 2 outs? Put him in with no outs. Put him in with 1 out. Try to have him steal second with, I just don't understand. It's like, even an out saying, you waited way too long. At that point, it makes no sense because now you're playing for, a deep gapper. Because we all know Yankee, it's just annoying. It does not. That just makes no sense to me. But the injuries they're just ruining this team right now. Every big name, it just seems like is hurt other than batting wise, other than Judge and Sanchez. It's just so annoying because if you could beat us at our best, more power to you. Tip my hat to you. I'll live with that. Well, it's just I hate just seeing injuries. It's just the little injuries, and with Andujar seeing a replay of that, it looks like nothing happened on that play. It looked like
you kind of jammed the shoulder.
Yeah, it looked like something that maybe out, her son maybe out a little day or two, you had a couple days rest, but then a torn something in your shoulder, you could be out the whole year. All of a sudden, it's like. What's going on here? It's almost like this team feels like they're snake bitten from the get-go. And then with Sanchez, I understand someone like to pick play, or having to pick it out of the ground and make a hard throw. Can you not get an error every game? It feels like. I think he's 4 errors already on the year. We're 6 games in. I don't know if he's going for records. Maybe, I don't know. But to me, the best way to describe it is that his arm is Jay Cutler. He has a cannon for an arm. You just don't know where it's going to go. And the fact that a lot of his errors have led to runs right after that. The guy makes it to third, whether it's just pop fly or just a little single something. So they need to sharp everything. It's a gigantic mess. I feel like surprisingly, the 2 most consistent players on the team, other than starting pitching, have been other than Judge as well, have been from the Rockies. LeMahieu, he's been very good, very solid. I'm liking what I'm seeing. And then Adam I'm going to butcher
Ottavino,
yeah, I'm sure I can strike out Babe Ruth. He's actually been very good. Other than that, it's like Chapman's been very spotty. Green hasn't done great. Everyone hasn't been doing good in the batting. So it's so annoying because this team doesn't really have a glaring weakness, at all, if at fully healthy. The fact is, they're not healthy, and it's just you don't want to be done this short into the season. And in fact, I want to see this team healthy, but I mean, if you start off this bad, and let's just say it gets worse, you could be 20 games in, and your season could be over at this point.
I wouldn't go that far.
I know, but it's going to be hard to bring back because you don't know what these injuries, the small injuries could always linger. And, you could, maybe it could turn into a 10-day stint, and then it could be a 30, and then, it just could linger. And maybe even if you're not on the DL, your play could go from, batting 300 to batting 230, let's say, if you're a hitter. But it's just, I want to see this team healthy. And the fact that you start out with so many injuries, it's frustrating.
I mean, yeah, it's been very frustrating with all the injuries, and I mean, it's just been the offense has just not been good. I mean, outside of Judge, really no one is really hitting this lineup. I mean,
LeMahieu's been deep.
LeMahieu, I'll give you that. LeMahieu has 2. I'll give you that. And then finally, Boone had him hitting leadoff, which was big.
About time.
Finally, yeah, with Gardner, there's no way Gardner should ever be hitting leadoff. Finally, they had LeMahieu hitting leadoff, which was smart. And I mean, but the thing is the bullpen too has not been. I mean, when they've tried to, when the game's been tied and they've had to, keep the game close, they just have not gotten the job done either. So, I mean, it's been a rough start for the Yankees, and it could they now go on the road. They got 3 games in Baltimore, and they got 4 games in Houston. So it could get even rougher for the Yankees with all the injuries and the way they've been playing. But they definitely this is a big series in Baltimore. This is a series they have to win the series in Baltimore. I think they got to take 2 out of 3 from the Orioles.
And the Orioles have been playing pretty well too lately, so it may not be.
It's early, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, I didn't think they'd be playing this well though.
So we'll move on to the Red Sox. We're off to another really rough start. And that first weekend in Seattle, their starting pitching was absolutely pathetic. It's got a little bit better. Price pitched okay the other night. Sale was good. But the issue with Sale was his velocity on his fastball. He hit he didn't even hit 90 miles an hour. He hit like 89 or 88, and that could definitely be a problem. You were talking about that on Saturday, Justin. It could definitely be a problem with him with his fastball.
Oh, yeah, it could. And, one of the shows I was listening to while I was at work was, they wanted to move him to closer, which is ridiculous. I wouldn't go that far yet. But they were saying his ERA since, like, September and October was, like, a 4, and it was in the 4 and 5s, which should be a little bit concerning. But he only did have 1 strikeout, 2 the other night in 6 innings, which is his career low, which is crazy. With the stuff he has, it's pretty crazy. He only got 1 strikeout because, last year I think he hit double digits, with the Yankees, probably, or if it's close, so. We'll find out with Sale. But the other thing, too, I heard the other night was Eduardo Rodriguez was this is what sounded like the pregame show that he was calling his own pitches. He wasn't listening to the catcher, which sounds like the only one in that rotation that allowed to do that is Sale or Porcello. So we'll see what happens with Rodriguez. I think he got lit up, too. Evaldi looked a little bit better last night after Saturday night, too. He got lit up. And then the first 2 games in Oakland, their offense did not show up at all. This guy, Aaron Brooks, pitched Monday for Oakland at a career 8 ERA, hasn't pitched in like 2 years, and went 6 or 7 innings, shut him out. So, it's problematic. Their offense got going last night. They got a huge break when Mookie Betts hit the third base bag, got a 2-run double. and they won the game 6-3 last night. They were down 3-0 early, and it looked like they were going to lose again, but they bounced back last night. So who knows? Maybe with that lucky break, who knows? Maybe their tie changes with travel, but they still have 3 more games out west too. So maybe because they were in Arizona to finish spring training, so they've been out west for a while. So maybe I don't all the travel or something.
Yeah, the thing is, they just haven't. They've been hitting that well. I mean, JD's been hitting. Moreland's gotten some big hits for them, but Betts did get a big hit last night, so he's been starting to heat up a little bit. Benintendi he was terrible at the beginning of the year, but he's starting to heat up a little bit. But their offense hasn't been as good, and their starting rotation was terrible in Seattle, but it got a little bit better this week. Kyle, give your thoughts.
To me, so far it seems like it's like obviously we all know in Seattle and the fact that you give up to Seattle. You give up 12 runs in the first game. I remember tuning in to watch some of that game. It was just like, what is going on? If his fastball's down that much, it could be struggles for him this year because that plays off of everything. That just sets the mood. You got to look out for that. The fastball, and then all his other stuff just plays off of that. So if that doesn't happen, who knows how he's going to do this year? I mean, they just paid the guy too. So your Red Sox, you're not feeling too great right now. But you give up 12 runs. Then 6 runs. You do win that game 7-6 against Seattle. Then you lose 6-5. Then you lose 10-8. So obviously your offense was doing good. Pitching, not good at all. Then you go to Oakland, and then you lose 7-0. So obviously then your offense isn't doing anything. Pitching wasn't doing anything either that game. 1-0. Your offense doesn't show up again at all. Pitching, very good job. Only 1 run. Okay, acceptable. And then you win 6-3, so at least you finally, because you can't get swept by Oakland. They're not a terrible team, but I don't think anyone's going to be mistaking them for World Series, contenders.
We'll see. It's very early in the season.
But they are, I mean, Chris Davis, I do like Chris Davis, so the guy can, that's strong. But the fact that what they got to do is their whole team is always going to be led by this offense because from their after starting pitching, so the whole bullpen up until last year with Kimbrel wasn't that great. Now you don't have Kimbrel, so how you do? This team is gonna seems like so far that they need to just start clicking because they can click and and just get everything going. I mean, they can be a very formidable team, but right now Yankees and the Red Sox, who people thought were gonna be right there for the contending for the the World Series. I mean, right now they're both starting off terrible.
It's very early in the season, but we'll go on to a team that has started really well. That's the Mets, starting 5-1, and their offense has definitely been a lot better this year. Getting Peter Alonso coming up. I mean, Wilson Ramos has hit. Cano had that big home run on opening day. I mean, their offense has definitely improved, and really their starting pitching, Jacob deGrom, Joe's favorite player, hit a home run last night. I mean, 13 innings pitched, no earned runs. He's been pitching outstanding, and I know it was the Marlins. He had 14 strikeouts, but I know it was the Marlins. That's what Joe would say if I ever told him. He'd say, "Oh, it's the Marlins. Who cares?" Yeah. But still, I mean, he's been pitching really well, and you look at the addition of Edwin Diaz, already 3 saves. That's been a huge pickup for the Mets. That's been a huge pickup. So they've improved their middle relief is a little shaky, as we've seen this week against the Marlins, but they've improved their bullpen, getting Diaz. deGrom has pitched well, and their offense has been improved, bringing up Peter Alonso and going out and getting Wilson Ramos. So, I mean, their offense better, bullpen better, starting pitching. Yes, it was a little shaky this week with Syndergaard and Wheeler, but still, I mean, 5-1. When you make the addition to the bullpen and to the lineup, they're off to a really good start.
Yeah, it seems like the Mets always do. Last year they were 11-1. Would they end they only won 75 games, something like that?
They started off hot.
77 games.
They started off.
They started hot, then they got really cold, then they ended the season hot. That's what happened with the Mets.
Yeah, it always seems like it happened with the Mets. But the last 2 nights, the bullpen almost tried to blow those things. But Diaz has stepped in and has closed the door. So if they, so at least they have a closer this year that actually is able to close out games, because the middle relievers, as we've seen, have not done the job. And I saw this stat in deGrom. He's faced 48 batters this year, 24 strikeouts, 48 batters. That's insane. And then also with the bat last night,
he's good.
So deGrom again looks like he's in prime form once again, like last year. And I think that was like his 26th straight start too, without allowing more than 3 earned runs, which is just I think he's the best pitcher in baseball right now. Clearly,
Joe Aguirre would not be happy with you saying that.
He wouldn't, but I want to go tell him that stat actually after the show. See what he says. I want to go see what he says about that one.
Yeah.
But let's see if the Mets are actually can contend this year. 5-1. We'll see what happens at the May and June. They always start out like this, and they always kind of collapse. So we'll find out. But they're playing well once again.
I mean, yeah, the fact that you've seen what DeGrom's obviously done, I agree with you. He's the best pitcher in the league to me right now. And then if you could have, Syndergaard be his normal self, that's a very good 1-2 combo. And now you have, Edwin Diaz. What is he, 25 years old or something like that? 26, something like that. You have a dude that's just that good, and he's only that young. You're assuming he's only going to get better. To me, you have your closer for years now, so I don't really worry about that. I feel like Cano's kind of feeling, he's back in New York, even though it's not the Yankees, but it's the Mets. He's kind of, feeling good, and they could. They could, possibly end up making some noise. The one thing they got to do is, like you said, last year they started off, they were red hot coming out. They were off the first 12 games, you said, what was it, 11-1 last year? Obviously, you got to make sure that if you're the Mets, you got to look at, okay, we started off 11-1 last year. What went wrong? After that. Just got to focus on that and take it. Okay, this is what we messed up at. And then take it with this team and, apply that and see, okay, we got to make sure we fix this so we don't, fail like we ended up doing last year. But the fact that, it's paying off already. If Edwin, it's 3 saves already. The dude's good. We all know that. And the fact that, DeGrom, the fact that guy is just that good, and if he starts getting some run support, a lot of run support, then there's no way you're going to beat that guy. And then imagine if, this team does become, pretty good. Then you get, eventually you get Cespedes back. That could, jumpstart and, his team could make some noise. But for right now, 5-1 to start off this year? That's good.
Really, really good for the Mets. And we'll talk about, we'll stay in the NL East and talk about Bryce Harper's return to Washington this week. In Tuesday night's game, he definitely got the boos. He definitely got booed, which was expected. And he had a huge game. He had 3 hits and he had a home run and 3 RBIs. He went 3 for 5, had a huge game for the Phillies. And he's been a really good addition for the Phillies so far. You look at that lineup with Segura, Realmuto, Harper, and Hoskins. But Harper definitely, I think, makes things going for that Phillies team. And that's why I think they're definitely the favorite right now to win the NL East. Yeah,
they are. They were undefeated until yesterday. I guess Robinson actually walked in the bases loaded game-winning run for the Nats. So rough out yesterday for Dave Robinson. But I know that first at bat too when Scherzer struck him out and that was that like a slide in the dirt. They were loving it. But I actually started laughing. We actually hit that double when he started waving the fans. But
then that bat flip too.
Yeah, get that. That was a shot. But he's looked very good. And I guess with him waiting so long in March, you wonder how fresh he was going to or how ready he was going to look. But after missing the first week, after the first missing the first week of spring training, but he looks in prime form right now. He looks really, really good, and Phillies are looking good to win that division right now.
Yeah, they're starting off good. I love the fact that he is just playing to the fact that he was a villain in that, to the Nationals fans, because the fact that he did a baffled, that's, it's very close to being, Jose Bautista, type bat flip. But in fact, he's kind of jump-started his team into becoming a legit contender. Obviously, they were talented. Then you get JT Realmuto. Obviously, we all know he's one of the better catchers in the league. And then you have Harper, who, other than maybe Trout, is probably the biggest name. He's probably in a big, even though he's not a better player, he might be just the biggest name because Trout should be more well known, but he's just not. But Harper is, because he's more of the outgoing player. He's more of the shiny object. But the fact that if he can be, what normal Harper is, which like the one MVP year that he had, about 3 years ago, roughly, I think it was. And added to this lineup, this team, you just jump-started this team from being, an above-average team to, possibly World Series contenders. And I think Harper right now, it feels like Harper and the Phillies are just, it's a match. Just made kind of in heaven, because
how brash he is in the city, the brash city.
Oh yeah,
it seems like a perfect match.
Yeah, the city is just gonna.
I was watching the game Sunday night and I was seeing that.
Yeah, city is just gonna every time he hits a home run, they're gonna go bananas crazy. They're gonna flip out. Harper's gonna be playing to that. Harper's probably gonna be, fist pumping like he did his first game in the outfield. He's fist pumping to the crowd like it's Jersey Shore out here. But I know it's just me. It's a match made in heaven. To me, that's a very, very good team right now.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So we're going to transition to the NBA, and we're going to talk about the teams competing for the 8th seed. Right now, the Pistons are in the 6th spot at 39 and 39. The Nets and the Magic are both 39 and 40, and the Heat are 38 and 40. They're the team that's in the 9th spot. So we look at the Pistons' schedule, and they're right now the number 6 seed. We look at their schedule. They go to OKC, host Charlotte, and Memphis, and the Knicks. I think they definitely are going to go. They're definitely going to go 3-1. I think they'll lose to OKC because OKC's trying to get out of that number 8 seed, not to play Golden State in the first round. I mean, but I think they win those last 3 games against Charlotte, Memphis, and New York. I think they end their season 42 and 40, and that should get them into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the Pistons will definitely get in. I think. The Nets are you. Want me to keep going?
No. Just talk about them. We'll just do the Pistons first.
All right. Yeah, I think the Pistons right now will. I think they'll be able to win 3 out of the last 4. Going to OKC is going to be tough. They're right now trying to stay away from the 8 seed with San Antonio. The Hornets are about eliminated. They have a very small chance. Grizzlies, and then Grizzlies and the Knicks are definitely beatable teams, and I think the Pistons will get that 6th seed.
Yeah, I think the Pistons are going to end up getting the 6th seed. They're kind of liking what they're building. Blake Griffin's kind of becoming pretty good player. Even though he kind of lost somewhat of his athleticism, he's not that skywalker.
He doesn't shoot a ton of threes. Yeah, that's the problem. And this is an NBA. We got to shoot threes.
Yeah, but he's not like the skywalker that he once was when he fresh out of college. But I feel like in a way that kind of helped his game because you feel like he was almost too focused on the highlights. He wanted to be on Sports Center, number 1 top 10 play every day. And now he's kind of taking the reign from the back. Even though he might not be shooting threes, he's working on that mid-range game because he just doesn't have that physical ability that he once had. But yeah, I feel Pistons they should win the 6th seed relatively easy.
So we'll go to the Nets, and they got a tough 3 games at the end of their season. They got to go to Milwaukee. Even though Milwaukee does pretty much have the number 1 seed clinched, but they're still really good. That's still a tough place to play. They got to play Indiana, which is going to be tough because they need home court. They probably need home court advantage to beat the Celtics in the first round. That's a team that because they're tied with the Celtics right now for the number 4 seed, and they need home court advantage in the first round. And then they got the Heat at home on the final night of the season. That could potentially be a play-in game. But I think they lose to the Bucks. I think they lose to the Pacers, and I think they beat the Heat. So I think I'd say they end up 40 and 42. I think they end up 40 and 42 on the season. So that might get them in. It might not get them in. That might get them a number 8 seed, but we'll see there. But I think it's a tough schedule for the Nets. Even though D'Angelo Russell's had a great year and Kenny Atkinson's done a great job with them, I think it's tough when you got to go to Milwaukee and Indiana. And they lost a tough game to Toronto last night. You got to go to Milwaukee and Indiana. That's tough for the Nets right now.
Yeah, that's a 2 tough ones, and they've just played they just played Milwaukee and Toronto 2 and lost both those, so they're already on a 2-game losing streak. And I think those last 2 are going to be very tough. I don't think they'll be able to win it. The one against the Heat's very interesting because if the Heat get eliminated by then, that's Dwayne Wade's last game. So could that be like one of those games where the Heat just let him shoot 40 times,
like Kobe?
Yeah, could that just be one of those games? So they can definitely beat the Heat. But I think it depends. I think the Nets will take that one at home. I think they'll be able to. So I think they will. I think they'll sit at 41-41. So I think they'll be able to take it.
Yeah, I kind of think that they'll end up 40-42 because I think when they face the Bucks, honestly, I don't think it's gonna be all that close. I think they're probably gonna lose by about 15. And then you face the Pacers. I think they're going to lose that as well, just because, like you said, the Pacers are going to want to, be in the battle for, the Celtics for the 4th seed. Obviously, they want the 4th seed. They want that home field advantage because, honestly, I think with that series, it really could come down to home field advantage, especially with Boston because they're
home court advantage.
Yeah, it's home court, home field. Close enough. But home court, advantage, especially with Boston. It's a very real thing with Boston. They play so good at home, so obviously you don't want them to get that. But I do feel like with the Heat, they're going to be able to beat the Heat, even though it's going to be possibly Dwayne Wade's last game. Possibly a play-in for the Heat. I just think at this point they're just a better team than the Heat, so I feel like they'll end up beating the Heat in the last game and end up finishing 40-42.
Yeah, and then now we got the Magic, who are 39-40. They play the Hawks, which I think they win that. The final 3 games against the Hawks, Celtics, and Hornets. I think they beat the Hawks, lose to the Celtics, and then beat the Hornets. So I think they end up 41-41, and I think they get into the playoffs. They're one of the teams with the Pistons that gets into the playoffs. So I think they end 41-41. Justin.
Yeah, I think this team could possibly win 2 out of 3. The Hawks have been playing better of late, but they've been playing very well at home. I think on the road I'd probably take the Hawks, but in Orlando I'll take Atlanta. Boston, of course, would be a tough one as they're battling. Of course, as we said, they're battling for that 4th seed right now, so I don't think they're going to go up to Boston and win. And against Charlotte, I think Charlotte's pretty much done, so I think they'll be able to stop, or I think they'll be able to get by the Hornets and finish the season 2-1.
Yeah. I think that when they face the Celtics, I think the Celtics will win. I think it's going to be close because it feels like you never know what the team you're going to get with Boston. Either they could be, the possible contenders that people were thinking they would play like that and they'll be super tough to beat, or they could face a team that is almost fractured. They don't know what to do. They're kind of lost or definitely not playing up to their ability. I do feel like they will lose, but it'll be kind of a closer game. I feel like they'll end up beating the Hawks. I don't think the Hawks, they're okay. They're not anything great. And like you said, the Hornets are kind of done. I don't feel like they're going to do anything great. So I feel like they'll end up finishing out the season 2-1.
You don't get the tiebreaker between the Nets and Heat.
I do not. It may come down to Wednesday night.
Yeah, I know. And we look at the Heat in the last because they play the last playoffs. I mean, they play Minnesota, Toronto, Philadelphia, and Brooklyn. And I think that they beat Minnesota. They lose to Toronto. I think they beat Philly because Philly's gonna have nothing to play for, and the Heat are gonna be at home. And Dwayne Wade is last year. They want that playoff push, but I think they lose to Brooklyn. But I think I think they lose to Brooklyn, so I think they end up 40-42. So I think it's going to be that Heat and the Nets. Whoever is that tiebreaker gets the 8th seed.
Yeah, they played 3 times so far. The Heat have a 2-1 advantage. So 2-2. I don't
2-2. That'd be tough to see.
I think because they're not in the same division. I'm not 100% sure what the tiebreaker rule is. But 3 of the last 4 on the road, which could probably be. I know the Raptors. The Raptors are. Yeah, they're good in the. They pretty much have the 2 seed, so they may not be playing for much. Sixers are locked in at the 3 seed, so there's definitely possibilities to win right there. Timberwolves.
The Heat would win the tiebreaker, so the Heat would win the tiebreaker over the Nets. So in that last game, if the Heat lose that game, they would still get the tiebreaker over the Nets.
So then I think they definitely will. I think they definitely now have a good shot at going to Brooklyn and taking that one. Well. No, that should be a fun one, though, playing for that 8 seed. Yeah,
I think they'll lose to the Timberwolves. They'll lose to the Raptors probably pretty big because the Raptors are just very good. I honestly do think that they probably will lose to Sixers. Sixers probably will be sitting some people unless they just absolutely just bench everyone and end up playing Joe Schmo off the street, which potentially they might. But if they do that, the Heat will win. So it kind of depends on who's sitting, who's not. And then like you said with the Nets, that could come down. That could be a very fun game to watch. Because like you said, they don't want Dwayne Wade to go out like a lame duck and not even at least have a chance to make playoffs or play in the playoffs in his final year. But so that could be a very, very interesting game because who knows? Like you said, the Nets they definitely improved this year. I don't think people thought they were going to be this. And then with the Heat, they don't, like I said, they don't want Dwayne Wade to go out lame duck, not even make playoffs. So I don't know. I'll be tuned into that game.
So, yeah, my 3 playoff teams, Pistons 6 seed, Magic 7 seed, Heat 8 seed. What do you got, Justin?
I'm going to get Pistons 6. I'm going to take Magic 7, Miami. I will go Net 7, Heat 8.
Gotcha.
I'm going Pistons 6, Orlando 7th, and then Brooklyn. I'll take 8th.
So we'll go back to a little bit of college basketball, and the All-American teams were announced yesterday. And the first team, pretty obvious, was Zion Williamson, Grant Williams, R.J. Barrett, John Morant, and Cassius Winston. Any surprises for you, Justin, there?
No, and I think Cassius Winston kind of went under the radar against everybody. He had a great year, and not so recently, nobody really knew who he was, but he stepped up. He played very well.
Literal in just one word, no. No surprise at all.
Nice. We got the second team. We got Rui Hachimura, Jarrett Culver, Marcus Howard, Ethan Happ, and Carson Edwards. You a little surprised that Ethan Happ being there, even though he was Wisconsin was one and done in the tournament?
It's tough. He's had he's average double, not a great free throw shooter. I think he's playing in Wisconsin, not the big market. He's been a very good player for 4 years. He's not, nobody's really talking about for draft, late second round, but, I definitely could see him there. Second, third round, second or third team I could have seen, but not a great jump shooter. He does it all in the paint. He was pretty much Wisconsin's one scorer, really. Him and Brad Davis. Davison was the decent shooter, but he pretty much did it besides his free throw shooting. He won up some games.
Honestly, I think out of everyone on there, he might be the only one he could question. But even then, I would still put him up there. I don't see, why not? I mean, one and done. That's not obviously ideal. You want to make a deep run, but. I mean, I think people need to also realize it's March Madness, and I mean, like last year, we saw finally a 16 seed beat a 1 seed. Anything can happen in March Madness. So, I mean, honestly, other than that, I really got no issues. I don't even that. It's not even a big issue anyway. So, I got no problems at all with the second team.
Yeah, I mean, the third team, you got Dietrich Lawson, P.J. Washington, Kyle Guy, DeAndre Hunter, and I'm not sure who the other guy is. You know who the other guy is in the third team?
I'm trying to remember who it was.
Still, do you agree with all those guys?
Yeah, Kyle Guy, Hunter. Yeah, Hunter's had a good year. Yeah, I think that's a good one. Yeah, I don't really have any problems with that. I'm trying to think if there's a guy that was left off that shouldn't have, and I'm not really thinking. I can't really come up with anybody right now. So no, I don't really have a problem.
Yeah, I think they got it right. Like, I'm with you. No problems. I got nothing wrong with that list either.
Yeah. Gotcha. So we're going to wrap up the show talking about a little bit about the women's Final Four, which starts Friday night. You got Oregon and Baylor, and then we all know the big matchup on Friday night with the rematch from last year's national semifinal game between UConn and Notre Dame. You watched that game last year, Justin, right?
Yeah. You guys don't watch it?
Oh, no, I do. I definitely do.
I do. Yeah. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens in those two games. So, Justin, what's your take on the women's Final Four?
Women's Final Four. I haven't watched too much. I made a bracket, but I don't know how that's doing. I think I picked UConn, but Baylor Oregon should probably be. I don't remember her name.
Oregon's got a really good player right here.
Yeah, I don't remember what her name is. She uses like a bunch of double-doubles, triple-double. She's supposed to be pretty good, so I wouldn't be surprised. I saw Baylor a little bit play UConn when they, usually I watch the women. They play somebody good, and I think down low, I think they hammered UConn down low. They got to the post on them. Notre Dame and UConn again should be. The last 2 years they've hit. Notre Dame's hit 2 huge shots against UConn to beat them, so it should be interesting. That's always a fun. UConn already won at the Notre Dame and won by 20 back in December. I don't see that happening this time. Will Enrique Iguodala, hit another shot with like 5 seconds? Will she hit another one? Because
I think at that point, UConn fans are just gonna be like, really?
I will. Yeah,
I leave.
Just because I'm a UConn fan, I'll take UConn to beat Baylor because I'm a UConn fan, but I could really see Notre Dame win. Yeah,
I feel like Baylor's gonna win. I mean, relatively easy. In their last 5, they're 5-0, and essentially they beat Cal 102 to 63. Then South Carolina 93-68, and then Iowa 85-53. But I feel like the real good game for the Final Four is gonna be Notre Dame versus UConn, because obviously we all know what they've done in the past couple of years. I'm a UConn fan, so I'll take UConn as well. I want to see them, especially how they lost that. I mean, that was just a heartbreaker last year, losing on the last-second shot, and then the lead for Notre Dame ended up making that to win the national title as well. So I feel like they're going to try to exercise some demons and finally get past her and be like, hallelujah, we're done. And then it comes down to Baylor and UConn. I mean, UConn. We also all know it's like every All-American just goes to UConn because they have the established culture and they know what they're doing. So I feel like UConn, hopefully, if they can get past Notre Dame, I feel like they will end up beating Baylor in the final.
Despite Baylor probably having the best player, despite Oregon probably the best player in the country, I think Baylor beats Oregon. And here's the thing with UConn: the national semifinal has kind of been Geno Auriem's kryptonite, and Muffet McGraw has owned Geno Auriem in national semifinals games. 2001, beat them. 2011, beat them. 2012, beat them. Did beat them in the national. Geno did beat her in the national semifinal in 2013 to win. That's when UConn went on to win the national championship. But then 2018. Beat Geno again. So that's 4 times. 4 to the 5 times they've met in the national semifinal, Notre Dame has won. And yes, I know UConn won big in the regular season, but I don't think this UConn team is as good as other UConn teams have been. And I think this is for this class. I mean, for this junior class, you got the Crystal Dangerfields. Yes, Collier and Katie Lou Samuelson were on the national championship team that won in 2016. But for this version, since Breanna Stewart has left, this game has kind of been the kryptonite for UConn. And I honestly think it continues to be the kryptonite, and I think it's going to be another last-second shot. And I think Notre Dame upsets UConn, and then Baylor beats Notre Dame in the national championship game.
Boo. I was just saying, I think Notre Dame, because UConn depth's a problem. He doesn't really have any. I kind of look at this as like him and Krzyzewski. They have great talent in starters, but they don't have a bench. None of them, like you can't get any. They don't get any points off of the bench. But I heard too. I can't believe Katie Lou Samuelson and Nafisa Collier are like the 2 high scoring duos in like UConn history, which I was surprised. With all the great, they've been great. Don't get me wrong, but like. This is a surprise, yeah.
Yeah, you have iconic, like the more iconic.
Yeah, but here's the reason they're the best scoring duo. They played in a bad conference. Yeah, the AAC. Come on now.
But they used to destroy the Big East too. They didn't. They had a couple closer.
Yeah, but the Big East was definitely better than the AAC.
A little bit. I still feel like I would see them win by 25. Besides the New Orleans and all that.
Kyle, you got a thought?
I mean, yeah, them being a high scoring duo. It's nice. And like you said, it's surprising because you think of all the legendary players that they've UConn's had over the years. You're thinking Taurasi and
and Maya Moore and Breanna Stewart, but the difference between those 3, and yes, I know Collier and Katie Lou have a national title, but still, those 3 were the biggest reasons they Maya Moore, Diana Taurasi, and Breanna Stewart were the biggest reasons they won. They won those 4 national titles with Breanna Stewart, those 2 with Maya Moore, and those 3 with Taurasi. They were the main reason why they won all those. So I mean, those players could not be put in the same conversation as those 3.
Yeah,
there's no way.
It is different, and I think it hurts Geno a little bit too with the recruiting aspect because he's losing 2 girls and he's only got 1 coming in right now next year. So. We'll see that the area may start coming to an end a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. But whether they win or they lose, we all know UConn versus Notre Dame. That's gonna be good. That's gonna come down to the final. Hopefully, they don't lose on the last second buzzer beater again.
Yeah. Yes. So we'll give a final thought. We'll give a final thought about the AAF is folding, and this is another example of a football league like the XFL, like the UFL, now the AAF that tries to think. The AAF wasn't really competing with the NFL, but tries to be another football league, which just clearly just did not work.
No, the ratings were good. I hear they got some TV money. They wanted practice-wise guys to come down with the NFL, which never ended up happening. Which is but it's tough to compete with the. It's tough because it's like you are watching. It's minor league football. It's springtime. You're not used to watching football in the spring. But I know Johnny Manziel got a shot too. But Steve Spurrier's team, I guess, has a back record, so he wants the title. So we'll see if they give it to him or not.
Yeah, here's this trophy we got for $5 on Walmart. Yeah. Here's your trophy, Spurrier. But I feel like the fact that people are so used to seeing NFL football, which is top tier football, is going to be good unless you're
watching on practice squad. You're watching on practice squad guys.
Yeah, not 0-16 unless you watch 0-16 Browns, but. It's the fact that people are expecting. I mean, it's unrealistic expectations because you're expecting, the AF to be like that right out of the get go, which we all know it's not going to be. It's going to take some years to develop the level of play. But I mean, again, it shows. It's just I don't think it's going to work. And then you have with the XFL coming back next year. I mean, I feel like we're gonna see this story in a year, 2 years, maybe. We could see the story happen all over again.
Exactly. That's going to wrap it up this week for Sports Talk with RKJ. For my co-host Justin D'Onofrio and Kyle Galuli, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week previewing the NBA playoffs, recapping the Final Four, and talking a little bit of baseball. Have a great weekend, everybody.